I think at first they were genuine friends. We were so young, with nothing in the world to really concern us. There was no place for malice or resentment. I don't care anymore, they're not worth my breath. I was in a place of promise. Lyria's magic shined throughout the halls. New and interesting people were everywhere. None as interesting as that divine spirit, but promising. I learned more there in 2 days than I did my entire life elsewhere. In fact, I owe my mentors a debt of gratitude. Were it not for them, I would never have found it.
Sorrow precedes you, mortal. It is almost enough to shift the great scale on its own. It has been centuries since my reverie was last disturbed. For what cause are you here? What could a mortal possibly want with me? Bizarrain, I have been sealed in here for some time, mortal. But even I know this one. His is the hand that leads the House of Sorrows, no? I know something of the war this land cries of. I will serve. But before I go to his side, you must find Amalur. She and I are as one. Once, long ago, Amalur and I walked the midden as faithful devotees of the Weeping King. She a tender, and I a delver. We were the first of our kind. But when the Weeping King passed, there was nothing. The House of Sorrows that he had built no longer served death, but the winter court that it itself had created. So Amalur and I left. We came here. We devoted ourselves to the contemplation of death, as the Weeping King would have wanted. It means much to me that you wish to reunite us. We have been long in isolation, contemplating death. Perhaps too long. As you found me on one part of the scale, so will you find her on the other. Now I will leave my cell to wait for you both. I was another of the wretches that the Weeping King saved when he first walked into the Feylands. When he pulled the rot of winter from me, I learned how I too could do the same. So I learned the finer points of his magic, and followed him as the first delver. Though all of the house are the followers of the Weeping King, the delvers are his true disciples. They can delve into the sorrows of another, just as he did. Amalur and I have been apart for some time. I think it will be good when this business is over to resume our meditations together. They are Alurin's orders. In many ways, they are the stewards of the House of Sorrows, while delvers deal in the spiritual, tenders see to the corporeal. That moniker holds no meaning to a true Fey. What is age to the ageless, to the immortal? Among our kind he was, and he remains singular. None could do now what he did, to naturally find the sorrows in others and delve into their being. And though he formed the House of Sorrows, though he saw the birth of the Court of Winter, he did not remain. By choice or fate, he went to Ashara, never to return. I think this war has exhausted all other Winter Fae who knew the Weeping King as he walked. But though Amalur and I remain, I can scarce recall him. It was formed as a way to keep the winter traditions of decay and rot while building a winter court. But in time, we lost true sight of what the essence of winter was. The Sorrows are the inheritance of the House of Sorrows, so to speak. We have been working at delving for centuries, collecting and shaping this magic, but we had never thought that it could be exploited. Do the Tuatha revere nothing? She tends to the scale as I have for these many centuries. You must reset the scale in order to reach her chamber. Very well.
How curious. You are mortal, but your steps resound with a burden greater than any one mortal might ever hope to bear. More curious still is your presence here. The great scale is not idly moved, nor is my reverie broken without cause. What is your purpose? I have felt the shifting of the scale. I know that Caelrod has now ended his contemplations to serve the King of Sorrows. It is no small thing that he asks. For the knowledge that was given to us by the Weeping King was never to propagate nor to be exploited. But I know of the times that are upon us. Come, let us join with Caelrod. If Bizerain and you are to find the Sorrows, then it is more than my knowledge you will need. Of the Weeping King's disciples, we were the first. Standing on the edge of the midden, we bore witness to him, transforming our people into something more. We vowed to never let that memory fade. Though death did call, we remained in this world, so that the knowledge of the Weeping King persisted. Of that order, I was the first. I had the strength to answer the Weeping King, and take the burden of other Fae, but I could not hear the sorrows within them. And so I was to honor the midden and tend its depths, so that nature would forever know that we have honored her call for decay. Along with the Weeping King, it was Caelrod with whom I watched the rise of winter. We were fated to be the first tender and delver. I think too long have we been in these contemplations, isolated. When this affair is over, I think we will reunite in earnest. They are the heart of this collective. A delver can take the sorrows into their being like the Weeping King did. Becoming a delver means mastering his art. The first king of the House of Sorrows, and perhaps the greatest winter fae to walk these lands, he taught us to delve and to bear the burden of winter. But when the realms of winter were freed of this burden, the Weeping King left this world, never to return. It has been long since that transpired. So long, in fact, that I cannot even recall his face or his presence. But it was powerful. Being in his presence was to know the sorrow of our race. Caelrod and I have lived long in this world, it is true. But our choice was not driven by some manner of self-preservation. It was to learn. All Fae return their life energy to Ashara on death. But the nature of Winter Fae, their essence, lies in the decomposition and decay of all things. Caelrod and I have forsaken being reborn anew to embrace the rotting of the corporeal world among us. That is where nature truly lies. In the beginning, it venerated death, but in time the house was revered by Winter Fae for its sacrifice. The Sorrows, they were meant to stand as a monument to the work of the house. And now they stand on being used as a tool for war. Despicable. Where we must meet, come, and the Eldest will be reunited before you. Goodbye. Caelrod!
Alarine!
It seems our reverie has been broken at last.
True, but you have felt the magics, as have I. Something dreadful grows to the south, and the Sorrows.
The Sorrows are safe, Caelrod. The Weeping King did not leave them exposed.
So we have been rousted with cause. But when this is over, Alarine, when the matter is settled...
Shh, Caelrod, I know. I am gladdened that Caelrod and I are united once again. But if Bizerain truly seeks the Sorrows, then he will need more than the knowledge of the Eldest. There is a key of sorts to the Sorrows. It lies in the Hollow of Sincere, the Hollow of the Weeping King. We must recover it. Yes, a mortal is not suited to this task, perhaps, but I do not believe we have time to find another to do this for us. We have not asked you to reunite us without cause. Our efforts must be divided. Bizerain must be instructed, and the key must be found. One of us will accompany you to Sincere, and the other will go to the house. We leave the choice to you, mortal. Caelrod and I have different skills, but both of us are capable of guiding you through Sincere. I do not deny there will be hardships we must combat. For that, I rely on my Feyblades, while Caelrod uses his magics. Which is of more use is up to you. Very well. Then I will go to the house and instruct Bizerain on how to reach the Sorrows. Farewell, mortal. I shall see you once you recover the key from Sincere. Goodbye.
And so it falls to us to claim the key from Sincere. It will not be easy going, but I will lend my magic to your skill. We must move quickly if we are to beat the Tuatha to the Sorrows. I will wait for you in Sincere. Please, make haste.
Very well.